Good evening, everyone. I would very much like to welcome all of you to the British Chamber of Commerce for Luxembourg's traditional New Year cocktail. Traditional, although you see it's a little bit different this year, so we all have to adapt. But we absolutely wanted to meet all of you, see all of you at the beginning of this new year and really stick to our traditional New Year's cocktail, even if it's a little bit different this year. So thanks for joining by telephone, by internet, by tablet. I heard from Atlanta, so by satellite. Thanks for joining us in this virtual space that over the last months has become somehow a new normal for all of us. So meeting for any kind of event in a virtual area. Still a little bit new, but I think we all get used to it. So it's a new normal, yes, but still I think it's a real pity not to be able to see all of you face to face in what over the last years has become, with the gracious support of the British ambassador, has become the traditional location of our New Year's cocktail, which means the ambassador's residence. So normally at this time of the year, we would meet all at the John Marshall's residence and have a drink all of together. But still, so we can't meet there, but still we're all together here. And we are happy to have among us, we have the honor to have among us tonight also Ambassador John Marshall, who will talk to you in just a couple of minutes. So please allow me also, Ambassador, to welcome you tonight and tell you that we're really happy to have you with us tonight for this New Year virtual cocktail, and also which is going to be, unfortunately, the last New Year cocktail we're going to be able to have together with you, as you're going to leave Luxembourg in April. So I'm really enjoying it to have you with us tonight.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Dan.
So as you all know, we are January 20th, which is, as we already in introduction said, between us, it's a truly historic day. So you all know that less than an hour ago, Joe Biden has been sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. So this is surely a major moment for the United States, and I'm sure for also the rest of the world. I think what everybody's thinking about in the States and around the world is change, because somehow it's all about change. And change has also been exactly at the heart of what has happened to all of us over the last 10 months. It's all been about change and resilience, hopefully for all of you. Resilience, getting back on our feet, coping with the uncertainty and trying to move on. I remember very well when a year ago we finally celebrated the year 2020. You remember 2020? It was the climate change, the business goals, everything. There were so many big changes that were in the minds of all of us when we talked, when around 2000 we talked about 2020. We said, well, the world will be a different one. There are so many challenges for the year 2020. Well, yeah, so it started, and I think everybody was more or less positive about it. I would say over here in Europe or in Luxembourg, we knew that 2020 would be remembered because of clearly Brexit, because it would be the end of the transition period, and everybody would hope that we would find a good mutual agreement on the future relations after Brexit. So that was on the mind of many businesses, of many people, of course, many people within the British Chamber community. So Brexit was probably on everybody's mind, but we did not realize at that point in time that from one day to the other, our day-to-day life, our most fundamental beliefs would be shaken by an invisible threat, COVID-19. So it's been a threat to our health, to our economy, and to the stability of a major part of our life. So we're looking back on a year that has been different in many ways. So we consider, of course, it's been for all of us, and I think we all share this feeling at this beginning of this new year. It's been challenging, it's been critical, without any doubt. It has been passionate. We were all looking for truth and guidance in a context of an extreme uncertainty, and that has forced us to ask ourselves questions about many things that we, up till there, we saw really as given. So we had to ask questions about ourselves, about our families, about our companies, our communities, our groups, things that were absolutely normal, having a drink with a friend, giving a hug, giving a kiss, having a birthday party. Suddenly all of these things changed. And of course, our businesses changed, our perspectives changed. It became critical for some companies So many things happened that forced us to look at these things in a different way. Unfortunately, people fell sick, people died, and I'm sure that many of us have friends or family who were among the people who fell sick, or even those who died. So it's been also a very sad moment for many people, and even if we didn't know the people, it's just sad to know that the things happened that have happened. So the beginning of this new year is surely a beginning that is not completely empty of challenges. It's not that there are no challenges. There's probably in some areas even more challenges ahead of us than we have faced over the last year. But clearly, we've gone through the last year, and there is hope. There is a vaccine. There is medicine. So there is hope for in many areas that we're going to get out of this. Even if like in a marathon, I've never run a marathon. I read about that. I think really the last miles are the most difficult ones. I just did a semi-marathon, but also the last 2 miles were the most complicated ones. And I think it's going to be the same this time. So we need to learn from what we did last year. I think we need to learn, and then we all did. The last year has also for us, for the British Chamber of Commerce, of course, been a very challenging year. We are, as you all know, we are a platform for collaboration, dialogue. So getting people to meet and exchange their point of views, exchanging their knowledge, their perspectives, is at the heart of our DNA. And then we had a great year. We had a great start into the new year. We had a couple of interesting projects that were launched. We had also very interesting projects that were planned for the year. And then in February, we had the chance to welcome Paulette Lehnert as our first big speaker at a lunch event. And I think she was just 4 or 5 days into her new job. And I talked to her recently. I said, would you have believed that when you came to have give the speech at the British Chamber of Commerce that would happen? What would happen? She said, no, I wouldn't have believed that, and maybe I would have changed my decisions. Although you never know. But yes, so she was our first big guest speaker after the New Year cocktail with Ambassador Marshall, and then very quickly things changed, and clearly also for Minister Lehnert. At the British Chamber, those of you who are regularly connected with us, and I think seeing you all on this call tonight, you are connected with the British Chamber, you participate in the events we are organizing. You will see that at the British Chamber of Commerce, of course, we took 2-3 weeks a little bit to look into what's going to happen, but then very, very quickly we decided that we need to move on and that we need to adapt. And that's what we did, and we succeeded in doing this. I think we had in the situation that we were in, I think we had a very successful year. Not the figures, but basically the capacity we had to be visible, to talk to you, to be able to connect our members, to connect our partners, to connect all the people around us and help them to share the experiences they have, to share their perspective on the problems we were facing, to get prepared for what lies ahead. I think very quickly opting for virtual conferences. So I think in May we launched BCC Live, which was and is still our virtual format. Launching BCC Live very, very early on helped us very quickly discuss topics, new topics, of course, different topics than those we had planned at the beginning of the year. But it allowed us to very quickly connect people, and I think we were very successful. We had lots of people on the calls, we had lots of interest on the calls. It was not only the speeches that were given, it was also the exchanges, the dialogue, the discussions that happened after the meetings. So and I think we got quite some positive feedback from the people who were on these calls, and remembering what was said, what was exchanged, the knowledge that was exchanged really was sometimes really powerful. And of course, as I said, resilience, change and its resilience. It also forced us to not only do what we did before, but also adapt what we do. So we changed the formats. We launched a specific format, and very quickly we tried to do different things differently with different people, with different interactions. Maybe just address our people in leadership group, who did a couple of very interesting conferences with different types of interactivity, with breakout rooms, with discussions, etc. we launched a new format of leadership, the Leadership Forum, which is our flagship event, our key event, one of the key events during the year. Normally it's just one evening, so we adapted the format, and we maybe I could just, I forgot to ask you guys if you could switch off your microphones. That would be great. Thank you very much. So the Leadership Forum was adapted from a single evening event. We changed it to a full week event, 5 days. So not everything in the evening, it was also during the day, but we had a series of 5 highly interesting talks with people on specific topics linked to leadership in times of uncertainty. The name of the series was Beyond Here, Be Dragons, Managing in Times of Uncertainty. And it was really a topic we were all in at that point in time, and mostly we still are. So we changed the Leadership Forum format, we changed other formats. We launched the 12 Days of Christmas to be more on an easier, a lighter note at the end of the year. So it's been a challenging year, but I feel like we really took advantage of it to reinvent a couple of things. And I'm sure that some of these will remain over the year to come. So we're at the beginning of 2021, and we will see how the year is going to come. So looking back at all the things we did, I would really take this moment to thank everyone involved. I would like to, of course, thank all the BCC people. I would like to thank our secretariat, our excellent secretariat, Wei and Rebecca. I would like to thank the officers, the council members, all the groups with all their group members who have been active, but also all our members who continue to support us during this year and somehow saw the value of the information that was exchanged. A special thank, of course, to our sponsors, our external partners, and our sponsors. And what better moment to also thank our friends from Greenings. Thank you very much, Greenings. Greenings are sponsoring us tonight. They already helped us last year, so it's a renewed support of the British Chamber. So thanks a lot for your renewed support. So thanks all of you. Of course, a huge thanks to Ambassador Marshall, the embassy, all the staff involved, all the people who work together with us on a regular basis. We continued doing the Brexit briefings last year for our sustaining members. So all of that went very, very, very well. So 2021 lies ahead of us. I can clearly say at the BCC, we remain confident, we remain committed. We are ready to continue to do what we have done over the last years. We would really like to continue adapting to the situation in which we live. So we want to continue to create opportunities for businesses to collaborate, to exchange knowledge, to exchange experiences, to work together, to get through the challenges that our businesses and our people have together. And I think the British Chamber of Commerce, with the people in it and around it, with the dynamics we have, offers a perfect platform to do all of this, to connect people in the moment where it really counts most. So I sincerely hope that all of us will remain safe, healthy, and be successful in the year to come. And that's why I would like to wish you all a happy, a healthy, and a very successful year 2021. Happy New Year. Thanks for being with us tonight, and really looking forward to meet all of you in the real physical life again and have real drinks together and enjoy the things we can do together. So welcome again, Happy New Year. And I would like now to welcome on stage Ambassador Marshall. John.
All right, thanks, Dan.
You're there.
I should have unmuted myself earlier.
Yeah. It's we're 10 months in it, and the unmute button is still the unmute, the connection, and the cat on the table. But I think you don't have a cat. So John, welcome again. Thanks again for being with us tonight. Thanks also for the support end of last year. I can just invite all of you, those who haven't watched the fireside chat with Ambassador Marshall that was published on the 18th of December, I think. It's been very interesting. We took a look back at the years that Ambassador Marshall has passed over here in Luxembourg, has lived in Luxembourg, how is his perspective on the country, on our relationships. So really go to YouTube or to Facebook. It's a very, very interesting video. So thanks again for having been available for that and being back tonight for our New Year cocktail. And please, the floor is yours. Maybe you'd like to address a couple of words to our members tonight.
Thanks very much, Dan. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for the inviting me also to make some remarks. And Happy New Year, everyone. Great to see lots of familiar faces. I have to admit that even sort of 10 months in, I don't find it particularly natural talking to my screen. Today is better than it often is, because most of the meetings that I participate in on Teams, people have their videos switched off, and it really is talking into the void, into emptiness. So at least today I can see the faces of many of you, if not all in one go. Yeah, I would far prefer to be standing with a drink in my hand by my piano, with the 3 rooms full of you guys, and speaking to you in person, and listening to your murmur as your murmur of approval as you agree, perhaps in rare occasions, with something I might say, or your sort of growl of discontent whenever I refer to Brexit. Sadly, that's not possible, and as Dan says, this will be the last occasion that I will be participating in the BCC New Year's cocktail, but hopefully you'll be back together in this residence, hosted by my successor next year, and I will certainly be with you in spirit. So yeah, so I hope the strangeness of talking for 15 minutes into a camera doesn't mean that I lose my my rhythm, but I have a drink to keep me going. I hope some of you do too. And as it's the New Year cocktail, I will be taking a sip every now and again. In addition, before really starting, I just wanted to sort of add something to Dan's look back at 2020, and obviously also in 2020 we lost a very dear member of the British Chamber, the founding president, founding chair, Jacques Eischen, in September. A very sad occasion, and I know that we were all hoping, the Chamber, the Council, and indeed the British Luxembourg Society, and I can see both David, the President, and Louise, the Vice President, on screen, hoping to organise something in his memory, and hopefully that might be possible later in the year when the situation improves. But today I just wanted to say a few words, first of all on COVID, secondly on the UK-EU relationship, thirdly on climate change, and finally a little bit about the UK-Luxembourg relationship. So beginning on COVID, I mean, obviously it has been 2020, it was an incredibly tough year. 2021 remains a very tough. Lots of us, lots of you have probably lost people who were dear to you, family members or friends. You may have suffered yourself from COVID, and obviously for some people that's an extremely traumatic experience with very severe symptoms. You may have suffered, for many people obviously suffering, but because of the economic consequences of COVID, losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods, and others obviously just finding it difficult to deal with the stress of this very sort of changed environment in which we live. So I'm very conscious when I'm talking to an audience that there are probably many in that audience who have had a particularly tough time of it, or know people who have. So my thoughts at the outset go to you, and I hope that you and all of us enjoy a safer, healthier, and better 2021 than 2020. Now, many times over the last 5 years that I've been here, people have said to me that they don't envy me my job. And they usually say that in the context of Brexit. I have particularly felt that this year, I do not envy any politician their job, any leader who is having to sort of lead their country through the COVID crisis, because of the nature of the challenges, because it's just gone on for so long, because of the wave after wave of new infection, because of the constantly sort of changing picture as we learn more about the virus, or at least we learn more about one variant of the virus and how to respond to that, and then new variants emerge. So it's been an incredibly difficult time, I think, for politicians around the world, in UK and Luxembourg and elsewhere. And I think we have to remember from time to time that it is difficult for them, and coming up with the right decisions, balancing the health factors and the factors of the economy is not an easy job. The situation obviously remains extremely grim, particularly in the UK, where there are some positives in the sense that the number of positive cases does seem to be declining at the moment, down I think sort of 20% week on week. But meanwhile, the number of deaths continues to increase, and I think today might again have been a sort of record high of over 1,800, or if it wasn't the record high, it must have been very, very close to it. And this obviously is the result of the variant that was picked up by various sort of effective genome sequencing that we do in the UK, and has seen a sort of rapid rise in infections, and led to us imposing harsher restrictions, or increased restrictions, particularly on travel into the country, which I know must also be affecting many of you. And I think we're just going to have to be patient and prudent for a bit longer. I think that undoubtedly, in all countries, we will conclude when we sort of look back that there are things that we could have done better. One thing I think in the UK that we can be pleased about is the fact that the rollout of the vaccine is going well, with both the Pfizer vaccine and the AstraZeneca vaccine now being administered. And as of today, over 4.6 million people have received the first dose of one vaccine, and close to 500,000 have had the second dose as well, so fully vaccinated. And of course, the vaccine gives us hope. But that hope also needs to be balanced, I think, by a degree of realism as well, that things might not actually get that much better that quickly. I think that lots of people are sort of hoping that by Easter everything will be fine. Again, I think that probably we're going to be dealing with some level of restrictions for most of this year. So I think 2021 will still be a difficult year for COVID reasons, and we have to kind of mentally prepare ourselves for that. And I suspect that further variants of the virus will emerge. And one of the issues that's arising, of course, is about equitable access to vaccines. And that's something which has very much been at the forefront of the British government's thinking and planning. And we have been very much part of international efforts to ensure that developing countries are able to receive vaccines as soon as possible. A lot of the focus of the media attention normally is on, the domestic response, whether it's domestic response here or in the UK or in the US or wherever it might be, less on the international response and efforts to ensure that vaccine delivery in developing countries does not take place too long after the vaccine programs which we're currently seeing being rolled out in Europe. The UK is the largest donor to an organisation called the Coalition for Epidemics, Preparedness Innovations, which is the kind of key body, or one of the key bodies alongside the WHO and the Global Vaccine Alliance, Gavi, that is working in this area and has developed this facility that you might have heard something about, the COVAX Advanced Market Commitment, which will ensure that vaccines will reach 92 developing countries. And the UK has pledged sort of 548 million pounds to that facility and has committed now 1.3 billion in total in UK aid to vaccine development and distribution. So however much we might hope that, the end of the tunnel is in sight, I think that we have to, as I say, brace ourselves for the fact that we've got a distance to go yet, and the challenge of ensuring equitable distribution of vaccines will remain with us throughout 2021. So moving on to the UK's relationship with the EU, and I arrived, as many will recall, back in March 2016, so just before the referendum. And I think now I'm the only British ambassador in Europe who has basically seen the whole process through. I have a colleague who, at the time of the referendum, was ambassador in Sofia in Bulgaria, and is now ambassador in Denmark. But so she's kind of dealt with it all, but in two different countries. I think I'm the last one standing, so to speak, of those who were around at the beginning of 2016. And when I look back on the last 4 or 5 years, for me, a real watershed moment was the election in the UK in December 2019. And up until that point, it really hadn't been clear what sort of Brexit we would have. Basically, Theresa May had taken over as Prime Minister, and it was her job and the job of her cabinet to try and work out how to deliver the result of the referendum, with very different views within cabinet on that, how that should be done. So a lot of arguments, a lot of contradictory statements in the press by British politicians, quite a few resignations, and it was quite an exciting and, I might say, sort of turbulent time in UK politics. And over the road in Parliament, it also looked equally turbulent, as the government Theresa May had a sort of very much reduced majority after the 2017 election, and with both major parties deeply split on the issue. Every vote on Brexit was a complete battle, never really clear what the outcome was going to be. Parliament, what the goings on in the UK Parliament were on the front pages of newspapers across Europe. And this all obviously created a lot of uncertainty in the minds of the public, in the minds of, in the media. People talking about second referendums, people thinking there might be a sort of different outcome of an election which would bring us back into the EU. Not sure whether the agreement that we'd negotiated on citizens' rights, for example, would hold. So a very unsettling time for citizens, for businesses. But as I say, this watershed moment of the election in December 2019, when Boris Johnson was returned with a comfortable majority in Parliament, which meant that he could get through Parliament what he wanted. And one of the first things he did was get adoption of the withdrawal agreement. And it was striking at the time, and I remember this very well, just, when the withdrawal agreement was adopted in Parliament, in the Luxembourg vote, they had sort of one paragraph on that, on this key moment in British and European history. There was just one small paragraph. Whereas, earlier in the year, they'd been devoted pages to what was going on in Parliament. And it just goes to show that a lot of people's interest was in the sort of the drama, in the not actually knowing whether we were going to be leaving or not. And once it was clear that we would be, some of the media and public opinion, public interest dropped away a bit. And with the election of the current government in December 2019, the withdrawal agreement, as I say, was passed. And we also at that point had a very clear idea of what it was that we wanted to get out of the negotiations, clear and coherent position. Even those who didn't like it or agree with it, would agree that it was a clear and coherent position, one that the negotiators stuck to. And I think, looking back over this last year of negotiations, they went, for all the missed deadlines and the mutual blaming that went on from time to time in public, the negotiations went more or less as one would have expected, apart, of course, from the problems that COVID presented, including at one point early on in the process, both lead negotiators going down with the virus. So more or less as expected, in the sense that they were extremely tough negotiations. They went to the wire. Negotiations of this kind always go to the wire. They're always decided at the very last minute. I have to admit that my own kind of understanding of what the very last minute means changed, because I kind of thought the very last minute would be earlier in December than the 24th of December. The 24th of December it proved to be. So they were tough. They went to the wire. And in the end, the deal was agreed that protected both sides' red lines. And the deal is unprecedented in many ways. For example, provides for sort of zero tariff, zero quota trade in goods. It's way beyond anything that has previously been agreed in the areas of law enforcement, criminal justice, cooperation, digital issues, for example. But in other areas such as services, it's pretty much what the EU agrees with, has agreed with other third parties. So, as we come into 2021, where do we go? Where do we go from here? I mean, a lot of our focus as the government is still very much on the implementation of the withdrawal agreement, particularly the bit on the section on citizens' rights. In the UK, we have rolled out the EU settlement scheme for EU nationals, and that's been very smooth process with well over 4 million people who have successfully acquired that status, even though at the time of the referendum we estimated there were only 3.3 million EU citizens in the UK. Already over 4 million have successfully applied for that status. And an equivalent process is going on across the EU, 27 different processes, because it's member states' competence, some have only just started, like in Belgium. They only opened the system for applications on the 1st of January. Some are quite complicated, as in France, because British nationals didn't historically were required to register. But here in Luxembourg, the system has been very smooth, largely because they had an existing established residency system. So it means that we're still waiting for the latest figures, but by mid-December, something like 2,000 800 of the 3,800 people who really need to register done so. So that's good progress, and we'll be encouraging the rest to do so before the deadline of the end of June this year. So that is encouraging them to apply for the new residence cards that British nationals will need if they don't have another EU nationality, or if they don't have the carte de légitimation, which some people who work for international organisations do have. But if you have a carte de séjour, you will need to apply a new residence card. So that's one area of focus. Obviously, we've also been focused a lot on the kind of the transition from the end of the transition period to beginning of 2021, when we're no longer bound by EU law. A lot of focus, obviously, on the situation in the short straits, on the ferries, on Eurotunnel, and that has gone relatively smoothly, helped by the fact that traffic volumes are relatively low, but obviously a number of truck companies in particular are haven't yet got used to the new procedures. From my perspective, I'm pleased that the reports we get back from Luxembourg hauliers are very positive, that they haven't been delayed since the 1st of January, but that's largely because they prepared well, engaged with their clients, told their clients what they needed to do, and have taken the changes in their stride. I'm pleased too that British nationals living in Luxembourg haven't encountered some of the problems that British nationals had when they were sort of returning to their place of residence in the EU from, being back in the UK at Christmas, not being allowed onto flights to Spain, Germany, and some other countries because their residency documents were not accepted. There were various problems that came from airlines not understanding what the rules were, or working to information that was incorrectly provided by member states or by IATA. But again, fortunately, with Luxembourg, everything has so far, to our understanding, gone extremely smoothly. No one has been turned away from a Luxembourg-bound flight, or as a resident had their passport stamped on arrival, which shouldn't happen. There are still quite a few things that we need to sort of processes in addition to the agreement that need to play out. So decisions that we're waiting for from the EU on data adequacy, for example, on equivalence in financial services sector, and indeed a memorandum of understanding that we're looking to agree with the EU on regulatory dialogue or cooperation on regulatory issues in the future. Now, the fact that we had an agreement obviously means that the mood music between us and the EU is better than it would have been had we not had an agreement, and that will enable us to have a better platform for future cooperation. And I can confidently predict that there will be a lot of very close cooperation between the EU and the UK, including this year on issues such as climate change, which I will mention shortly, particularly on issues of foreign policy, whether it's on Iran or the situation in Hong Kong, or the threat from Russia, the situation in Belarus, areas that we have been cooperating closely on also during 2020, even though we were no longer members. And obviously that foreign policy agenda becomes even more exciting about what we might be able to achieve now that we have a president in the United States who also attaches importance to working closely alongside allies to promote and defend the values that we all share. So, I mean, fundamentally, what Brexit has given us in all areas across the board, because what the agreement we reached with the EU delivered was it meant that in no area were we bound by EU law. In no area do we fall under the jurisdiction of the ECJ, and therefore, essentially, what we have is freedom of action. And I think now, not just in this year, but in the years to come, we will see what we do with that freedom of action, and we will see in time. And I think that it will take time. We will see what opportunities we can seize, and what path that we can pursue in future outside the European Union. So it's a kind of a new phase in our relationship with the EU, but lots of reason to be confident that it will be a close and mutually beneficial relationship. Briefly on climate change, one of the international priorities that we will have this year, probably the biggest priority for us internationally in 2021, is the fact that we will be hosting COP26, so the Conference of Parties of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. COP26 is a shorthand for this big meeting that we will hold in Glasgow in November, hopefully in person, for 30,000 people there, gathering to try and take forward the agenda on climate change. And our goal as President designate of this process is to raise the level of global ambition that will enable us to deliver the Paris Agreement goals. And essentially that was keeping global temperatures well below, or the global temperature rise well below 2%, and ideally to limit it to 1.5%. So a lot of it is about reducing emissions, about encouraging greater ambition on the transition to a low carbon economy, about accelerating out of coal, about phasing out diesel and electric cars. And it's an area where the UK has made a number of significant announcements in the last sort of couple of months. For example, we have announced that we will reduce our emissions of our CO2 emissions by 68% compared with 1990 levels by 2030. We were the first G7 country to legislate for net zero. We brought forward the end of being able to sell diesel and petrol vehicles in the UK by 10 years. Brought it forward to 2030. And we've announced we will end the financing of fossil fuels overseas. So support, for example, UK export finance for the oil and gas sector. So these are really important announcements. A whole series of them was made in October and November, and just shows how seriously we will take our role as President designate of COP. It's not all about mitigation, it's also about ensuring that the developed world supports through international climate finance developing countries to adapt to the changes that climate change is already bringing. And as I say, for my embassy, but not just for our embassy, for every British embassy across the world, our whole global network, this is going to be a key priority for us. I'm delighted to say that it is one of the areas where I think that we will be able to work very closely with Luxembourg, who share our our aspirations, share our ambition on this subject. So that's just the point I wanted to sort of end on, the bilateral relationship. So much of my work has actually been focused on the UK-EU relationship, but as some of you will know, I've also devoted a reasonable amount of time to exploring, learning about, and publishing a book on the bilateral relationship called Lux UK Links, available in Amsterdam, in the bookshops and online, and that's been great fun to do. But as we have left the EU, those bilateral relationships are going to become more and more important, the bilateral relationships with the individual EU member states. And we're very much looking forward to kind of, as I say, finding areas that we can increasingly work together on. COP26 climate change is one. There are other areas of foreign policy, particularly around human rights. We were re-elected to something called the Human Rights Council, important body in Geneva this year, and we're expecting Luxembourg to be elected later this year for a 3-year term. So I'm hoping that we can continue our close cooperation on human rights issues. Already we work together on things like media freedom, preventing sexual violence and conflict, but there'll be a lot more that we can do once we are both together as members on the Human Rights Council. I think my successor, Fleur Thomas, who will arrive shortly after me, and the new deputy that we will also have in the summer, who both have a lot of experience of trade and investment. They'll also be looking to seek to develop that part of the relationship when they arrive, which again I think will be very exciting and something that I'm sure the Chamber will be interested in hearing more about in due course. And just one other area I might mention, perhaps because it will be something that might surprise people, is that defence is also an area where we hope to do more. You'll all have seen, for example, this fantastic plane that Luxembourg has acquired, the A400M, which is part of a sort of joint Belgian-Luxembourg air component. We in the UK have been operating this plane for about 10 years now, I think it is. So we've built up a sort of lot of experience on plane and are helping train the Belgian and Luxembourg pilots and loadmasters and others involved on the capabilities of the aircraft. So I think that yeah, it'll be an exciting job that my successor will have in taking forward that bilateral relationship. So I want really just to end, and I've probably spoken too long, but just to end by thanking everyone for the constant welcome that you've given me over the 5 years that I've been here. As I say, this might be the final sort of large-scale event organised by the British Chamber that I participate in. So I'd like to thank Dan and you know, his predecessors, Alison and Joanne, as chair, and all the council members in their various iterations over the last 5 years, and Sophie and Becca and Y and others who've been involved in the secretariat at the Chamber, and all the members, all of you, and thank you very much indeed for the support that you give to the Chamber for its activities. So I'll end there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John, for these words. Again, thanks for your support over those years. We as well have been really very happy to work together with you and your team over the last years, mainly also in the Brexit context, where I think it's really, we received very valuable information through the links we had together with you. It's not over. We got another 2 months, so I think we have another Brexit briefing planned. No,
I think we do actually. Yes.
There was, I saw something in March. No,
really? Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. So there's going to be at least another conference. But anyhow, I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to talk before you leave Luxembourg. But anyhow, thanks very much for everything, and I'm sure you're going to stay in touch over the months and years to come. And all the best for your future projects. going to be surprised to see where you're going to move. And again, I can attract you to the video we did at the fireside chat because we talk about professional plans of John Marshall. This ends the speeches, the more official part of our New Year cocktail. I would like to invite you maybe to raise our glasses for those who have one, and to have maybe a zip on all of us, on all of you, on all of us, and everybody around us for a great year to come, and that we're going to cope with the challenges ahead. Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
Cheers. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And talking about innovating, we thought we would innovate tonight. So I now need to look over at Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca. How are we going to do this? We actually normally in this kind of, the big challenge we all have when we do this kind of events via Zoom is that what now? We cannot talk to each other. We are 46, 48 people on the call. So we are too many on one screen to talk. What would we do if we were at the residence? Well, we would move over there, over into that corner. We would meet people and talk to them. And we were wondering how we could do this with Zoom. And we decided to create breakout rooms. So actually we created a number of breakout rooms. And Becca, you want to say something on the way we move forward? Come on, you can do that.
Yes, of course, of course. We've created some breakout rooms. You are able to move yourselves into the rooms, and you can move from room to room as you want. I'm also on hand to be able to help you if you want. So don't worry if you can't manage to do it yourself. I can help you do that. We have 7 rooms in total. The first room is the Ambassador's Lounge, where the Ambassador will be. We have the Chairman's Lounge with Dan. We have the BCC Group Lounge with Jill and Sarah Speed. We have the Let's Talk Business Lounge with Darren Robinson and Neil Cocker. And we have the Getting Ready for 2021 Lounge with Andrew Notter. We also have 2 further rooms if anybody wants to have a private chat. It's just a one-on-one chat with somebody. But it's a first come served basis. So get there quick if you want to speak to somebody. Okay?
And you can still use the chat, of course, to talk directly to someone who you would like to invite to come to a specific room. So you see all the names, the lists. And so the rooms are...
The rooms are all ready. Certain people are allocated. So the Ambassador, yourself, Dan and Jill and Sarah and all those on the council have been allocated to rooms. So don't be surprised when you end up in a room. And everybody else, you can choose what room you want to go into.
And it works by clicking on the button breakout rooms.
Yep,
yes.
you should be. Something should come up and and if not, click on the breakout rooms and I'll be here as well to help you if you have any problems. Good. Okay, so I'll open the rooms now.
Yeah, so that will help us all to connect in tinier rooms. So we might not see all of us together again in the big room. So have a great evening, have a nice chat, walk from one room to the other. It was great to have you here, and enjoy the rest of the evening in the breakout rooms, and see you all soon. And thanks again to Greenings for their support tonight.